Guys, King of Charmanders here, and today I bring to you the best Mizutsune weapons guide for all weapon types. This video analyzes the weapons of the first Leviathan of Monster Hunter Now. In addition, the Mizutsune weapons are the strongest water weapons in the meta, and they have some of the best weapon designs in the entire Monster Hunter franchise. If you look at this entire set right here, a lot of them are really pretty and pretty dang cool. But as far as how good they are, just how good are the Mizutsune weapons? Let's find out. First off, we're going to start off with the list of Mizutsune weapons. Alright, so if I butcher the namings of some of these weapons, don't shoot me, okay? I'm just a messenger here. I've been to Japan twice. I practiced my Japanese and it's somewhat decent enough to where I can probably pronounce these pretty well. First off, we have the sword and shield, which is the Hana no Nagoriwo. The great sword, which is the Hanayako Yohino. The long sword, which is the Kakaru Kumo Naki. The hammer, which is the Purity Hammer, and the light bowgun, which is the Desolate Mist. In addition, we have the bow, which is known as the Blessed Rain, the dual blade, which is called the Morning Dawn, the lance, which is known as the Hanamo Hananare, the charge blade, which is the Mizunia Drill, and the gun lance, which is the Yukio no Yamiwo. Next up, we have the Mizutsune weapons, forward stats, and cost. The Mizutsune weapons start at grade 5. With their element being water, and their base raw attack being 335, along with their base elemental attack being at 230. Their base affinity is also starting at 10%. Starting out, the Mizutsune weapons will have more raw damage versus elemental damage and a base affinity of 10%. In addition, here are the forge requirements for the Mizutsune weapons. You need 6 Mizutsune scales, which are rarity 1, 2 Mizutsune claws, which are rarity 2, 10 Makalite ores, which are rarity 2, 2 Mizutsune thick purple furs, which are rarity 4. I don't know why it's this long, but I remember in Rise it was this long, so I get it. And 1500 Zeni. And now that we covered the Mizutsune weapons at Forge, here is Mizutsune weapon grade 10, 5 out of 5 max stats and cost. So here's the Mizutsune weapons max stats at grade 10.5. It is still of the water element, of course, with its max raw attack being 1363, with its max elemental attack being 1436, and its maximum affinity being 20%. Once maxed out, the Mizutsune weapons will have more elemental attack versus raw attack and 20% total affinity. In addition, as you see here, Mizutsune has its own rarity 6 material, the Mizutsune Plate. And Mizutsune weapons require a lot of other materials to max out its weapons. I'm not going to go over the entire list, because you just have to look at that picture and you can see that's a lot. In addition, you need 25 refining parts and 423,500 Zeni. So again, 25 weapon refining parts and a whole lot of Zeni. The estimated amount of Mizutsune you'll have to slay is 1,500 8-star Mizutsune to obtain all the parts needed to max it out. Now here's the thing, from personal experience, from someone that went from 0 Zenogre to not getting that 90, the amount you need to be able to max out a Zenogre weapon, from personal experience, assuming you are doubling your rarity 6 materials, you can achieve this result in 500 to 800 Mizutsune hunts, or earlier if you are lucky. So that's assuming if you're doubling it, but it's always totally possible that if you're getting really lucky on these plate drops, you might be able to get this before that 1,500 estimation for slaying 8-star Mizutsune. Alright, moving on. Now that you know everything you need to make Mizutsune weapons and max them out and how cool and beautiful they look, now we're going to dig into the damage data, starting off with the melee weapons. We have the water elemental monster type melee comparison. And here we take a look at all the water elemental monster types as of Dancing in the Tempest. So there are 4 monster types as of Dancing in the Tempest. You have Great Jagras, Gyrototus, Kuropuke, and of course Mizutsune. As we see per the data, Mizutsune weapons are the strongest. This is due to having the most elemental attack and that 20% affinity bonus. And the affinity bonus is what sets the Mizutsune weapons apart from the other monster types. Zenogre, it's very identical as far as Mizutsune weapons go. However, they do have 20% extra affinity. However, there isn't a huge difference damage-wise unless it's comparing the Mizutsune weapons versus the Great Jagras weapons. For the Mizutsune weapons, it's a whooping 18%, actually 19%-ish if you decide to round it up, stronger than the Great Jagras weapons. In other words, don't build the Great Jagras weapons. However, weapons don't just have damage and stats, they also have equipment skills. So we're going to compare the Mizutsune weapon equipment skills versus the rest of the water elemental weapons. So Mizutsune weapons have Artful Dodger level 1, which makes perfect evades ever so slightly easier to perform. This makes Mizutsune is essentially the Zenogre of the water weapons with the same skill. So Mizutsune and Zenogre both have Artful Dodger. And Artful Dodger is the most useful of the rest of the water weapon equipment skills. Kuropuke Puke is the only one that's a little close to being useful as it has earplugs, which slightly reduces the effects of weak monster roars. Gyratotis is his last stand, that's pretty useless, and of course the most useless out of all of them is Great Jagras, which is health boost as it increases health by 20. However, the thing about that health increase is that even if you do increase health, say you go below 30%, you still have to do 30% or more with the health boost in order to do hunts. So in other words, that doesn't help you out much at all with health boost as far as overall hunts goes. Which makes again Mizutsune and Artful Dodger the most useful equipment skill out of all of the current water elemental weapons as of Dancing in the Tempest. And now that we covered the melee, we're gonna go on to Light Bowgun, our ranged weapons, cause there are two ranged weapons, starting off with the Light Bowgun. This is the water elemental monster types for the Light Bowgun, and it has all four of them: Mizutsune, Kuropuke Puke, Gyratotis, and Great Jagras. And here we have the water elemental monster type Light Bowgun comparison. Here we take a look at all the water elemental monster types of Light Bowguns. As we see per the data, Mizutsune Light Bowgun is barely better than Kuropuke Puke, 1.11%. That's not a lot, so if you already have the Kuropuke Puke Light Bowgun built, it's really good still, so don't worry about it. This is despite the affinity bonus that the Mizutsune weapons provide. However, it's important to note this is without full builds. As affinity would increase damage for both raw and elemental, you put this and smack it together with full builds along with recoil down 3 and reload speed 3, which are a requirement, and you're going to get a lot of damage with Mizutsune just by having that 20% affinity. But like I mentioned before, if you already have Kuropuke Puke built, don't worry about it, it's still good, so you can use that instead of Mizutsune if you don't want to dedicate all that time and resources to hunting Mizutsune. On to the next, and Light Bowguns don't just have a damage comparison, but they also have ammo sets. So each Light Bowgun has a different set of ammo. Here we have the Mizutsune Light Bowgun ammo set versus the rest of the water Light Bowguns. Mizutsune has arguably the best ammo set of all the water elemental monsters. This is because you have slicing ammo which allows you to cut tails. In addition, Mizutsune's sticky ammo also reloads faster than Kuropuke Puke. This is despite having one less round. What makes the Kuropuke Puke sticky water ammo really cool is that you have 4 ammo instead of 3. So you can dish a lot of stun and a lot of damage if you fire that sticky water ammo. The problem is, it is very slow on reload, as you see on the right with a slow reload. Very slow actually. In comparison to Mizutsune Light Bowgun, which has a slow reload time. So that's actually really important because that means you're going to reload really fast with Mizutsune Light Bowgun if you have recoil down 3 and reload speed 3. And you can also use the recoil to your advantage to dodge monster attacks and stay in optimal range. If you're really good at the Light Bowgun, you can use that recoil and you can stay in optimal range and again use it to avoid monster attacks. However, if you already have the Kuropuke Puke Light Bowgun built, you might not have to worry about the Mizutsune one. It's a lot of resources to max one out. So again, if you already have Kuropuke Puke built, it's still really good just like we saw in the damage comparison before, so it's really up to you. Build the really good one or still have a really good one. It's up to you. And last but not least, we're covering the second range type weapon we have here, which is the bow. It's the water elemental monster types with the bow, which only have 3 actually as far as water monsters go. We have Mizutsune, Kuropuke Puke, and Gyratotis. As we see per the data, the Mizutsune bow is barely better than the Kuropuke bow. At a 1.93% chance, 93, so if we round that up, that's 2. So 2% better than the Kuropuke weapons. But this doesn't take into account that Mizutsune's shot types, which we will cover shortly. So despite the fact that it barely beats Kuropuke, there is a caveat when it comes to the Mizutsune bow, and again, we're going to cover that shortly. And that leads us to the Mizutsune bow shot types versus the rest of the water bows. Here we take a look at all the water element monster bows as of Dancing in the Tempest, and here are their shot types. As we see per the data, Mizutsune does not have any unique charge level to damage level types. What usually happens is that you have a higher damage level at a lower charge. Unfortunately, Mizutsune bow does not have that. While the Kuropuke bow does have a unique charge level to damage level shot with rapid level 3 at charge level 2. So it only takes 1 blink. However, the caveat with 1 blinks is that you can't charge sidestep out of it. So you have to roll, get in position, and just spam 1 blink charge shots until you have to dodge. And of course, if you look at the Gyrototus bow isn't worth building at all. It's also worth taking into consideration Mizutsune's shot type is also spread. So you'll have to be up close to the monster to do maximum damage. Spread isn't bad, however it takes a whole different type of skill set and you have to be a lot more aware of monster attack patterns because there's going to be a lot more attacks that the monster can do to you when you're up close to it. So again, keep in mind that Mizutsune bow again is a spread type. If you're not used to spread and you don't want it, you can use a Kuropuke bow. But if you like spread, you can go ahead and use the Mizutsune bow because it's going to do wonders for you and do a ton of damage. The spread shot type does do the most damage out of all the shot types for the bow. Hopefully this guide helps you decide what Mizutsune weapons to invest in. As of the release of this video, Mizutsune is available in the eastern side of the world and will be coming to the west soon. So if you do the time conversion, yes, the event has started for the east, and unfortunately for the west, we're just going to have to wait a little more. However, it's important to remember Mizutsune will return in future events on the field, so don't worry if you don't have the opportunity to hunt it for its first event. Again, I always talk about don't give in to the fear of missing out, because it's going to come back. Everything comes back. Eventually, hopefully. Except for like the lucky Lunar New Year thing, which hasn't came back yet, but yeah. Other than that, yes, I've already said Mizutsune will come back in the future, so don't worry about it. Please do me a huge favor, like, subscribe, and comment for the YouTube algorithm. Good luck on your grinds, hopefully y'all are excited for Mizutsune. I might go after that light bowgun because it looks really good, and those stats have me intrigued. However, that's a whole lot of plates, so we're just gonna have to figure out if I'm motivated enough to do that, or I'm just gonna stick with my Black Diablos bow. Again, do me a huge favor, like, subscribe, and comment for the YouTube algorithm. Good luck on your grinds and all of your drops, and I will see y'all on the next video.